Hello, welcome to the Low Code Campfire. This is episode number 185 for March 7, 2025. Today we'll be talking about version 127 and also the Plantain app installer and our starter plan and lots of good things coming up. I am Dale Warner, head of support for Plantain app. From the Plantain app team today, we have Patrick Anderson, who is a technical success manager for Plantain app. Also, Bogdan Lutescu, who is the chief cook and bottle washer and CEO. This Low Code Campfire is an event that we do every Friday, most Fridays, 10 a.m. Central Time. It's an opportunity for us to get together and talk about low code in general, Plantain app in specific, and we work at all skill levels. So whether you're a beginner, an expert, or super advanced, you're all welcome here. Bring your questions and topics. We record them and put them out on YouTube at youtube.com/plantainapp. So we encourage you to go out there now, hit the subscribe and the alarm bell so that you know exactly when these are available for replay, which is usually in the next day after the event takes place. We'll do this agenda. We'll say hello because we're a friendly group, and then we'll go around the campfire for first call and submitted topics. I have a submitted topic. It's our topic, the version 1.27. So hopefully we'll get to that pretty quickly. After an hour or so, we go into Afterglow. That's where we turn off the recording, raise a virtual adult beverage, enjoy each other's company for a little while, and uh, kind of start the weekend. So do engage with us, jump in, show and tell, just engage. You can submit questions and topics in advance with this QR code. It takes you right to a Google form, or you can email me support@plantainapp.com. Hello, all, one and all.
Good morning.
Good
Hello.
morning.
Good morning.
Did anybody bring a first call that we should take care of right off the top?
Dale, Jerry here. And I know every time you hear that, you think, uh-oh, here it comes. Good news. I don't have a first call today. I'm still scabbing over, by the way. But things are going really good for us. Our 1.26 migration is now, uh, we'll call it complete. We've kind of figured out a bunch of stuff and, we'll talk more about that as the show goes on. But very pleased with what we're seeing right now. We finally got Bootstrap to behave, and looking forward to hear what you've got to say about 1.27. Excited. Yeah.
Well, good. Um, yeah, I'm glad that that stabilized, and yeah, like to hear more about how you did last week. We can move that to Afterglow. That's an incentive. Let's find out what Jerry was up to. Okay. Well, without further ado, I'm going to jump into that. Version 1.27 and the Plantain app installer. My plan today is to do a walkthrough of the installer. The scenario is that um, we are encouraging people who, especially our past customers who might have some of the older DNN Sharp tools installed on their system to take a look at Plantain app, either the full license or we have a starter plan. Today we're going to be looking at the starter plan, but we've provided an installer that jumps from wherever you are if you have a system that has a variety of our tools like Action Form and Action Grid and Tabs Pro, My Tokens perhaps, but all these older products, sometimes they're at a variety of versions, and it's been something of a painful process for people to install without our installer and having to step through and update so this you're going to see us move in one step all the way into current. So that's exciting. And then after we get there, we'll work through the licensing. So let's see what all this looks like. I have a test system set up here. It is a 961 version of DNN. And I have a home page that has an action form on it. So this is our typical demonstration. It's a contact form. first name, last name, email. You hit click send now. Whoops, I'm still waking up from what I was doing a minute ago. So you hit send now, and it takes this stuff and drops it in an email. It's just a standard form. So I wanted to show that we have action form installed and what that looks like as we go through the installer. I've created a page called installer. This is the recommended. It doesn't matter what you call it, but you create a page and drop the installer onto it. And so let's see what I have installed. If I go into DNN extensions, we can see that action form is installed. It's version 5.7. The current version is 5. Well, it's going to be 5.27, so long. Yeah, there it is right there. It's a long way. I also have installed an older product, DNN Sharp Bluefin. It's version 5.13, but just a nod to the fact that we have a lot of users, a lot of products that have been installed over time, and we'll see how that plays out. And then I've already installed the plant, it's called the Plant and App Installer for DNN, but if you were doing one of these, we would provide this installer to you. It installs just like a regular DNN extension, so you would click and choose the file. It's Plant and App DNN Installer, and click open. In my case, it's already there, so it's trying to run me through a repair install, but it just installs like any other extension. So any questions about the setup? I'm going to go to my installer page, put it into edit mode, and we'll run through the installer. So it drops onto the page like any other module. So we pick installer, put it on the page, and it immediately goes to work. We check a lot of things because a lot of things have happened over time and there's certain prerequisites. And so you see a lot of green things that have passed. We see a failure that says DNN Sharp Bluefin should not be installed. This is a deprecated product, and if it's present, it causes problems. So we let you know about things that are going to cause everything we know of that's going to cause problems. We try and let you know in advance. It's telling you a couple of things. WebDAV is not configured the way we think it should be, and it's going to take care of that during the migration. Same thing with this DNN Sharp. So the green and the yellowish orange all acceptable. Um, and so we just have the one red, and down at the bottom we have no buttons. That's the clue that we got to fix things before we can move on. So the DNN Sharp Bluefin should not be installed. If we go to extensions and get rid of that, DNN Sharp Bluefin. And I'm going to point out here, this is something I didn't really understand when I was a system administrator, but when you say that you want to delete things, delete something, it gives you this nice option whether or not to delete files. If you don't check this, the DLLs that were connected with this remain installed, and it's those DLLs that blow us up at later phases. So you do want to delete the files. If you don't delete the files, that warning message is going to remain and you're going to have to do it manually. So you have to go into the bin folder and locate the file and get rid of it. So questions so far? Just to let you know, I'm going to fast forward a little bit through this after after we work through the installer and show you what it's going to look like. I am going to actually advance us through by way of a restore, so we don't have to wait for DNN to actually install. But I think you guys have probably seen that a few times, so we can save 5 minutes there. So we got rid of Bluefin, and so now we see that we don't have any red anymore. We have a lot of pass and migrate. And if we go all the way to the bottom, we see we have the buttons so that we can begin. So I'm going to hit Start Installation. I'm going to keep us on a happy path here today. There's some advanced options we'll get into if not today. but it says that it's the preparation steps are completed and start DNN installation. And what this does, um, what it has done is downloaded what it needs to download. It's set it up for the DNN installer to do all the work. And so when you click Start DNN installation, it's going to bring us into the DNN installation dialog. And you'll see it's going to jump from uh, where we are, wherever you are, we're at DNN 961. It's going to jump to what we now consider the current, and this is part of the breakthrough DNN, excuse me, Plantain app version 127 now compatible with the latest versions of DNN. Although I see they came out with the .08 since we've done this, but okay. So normally you would just fill in your host or super username and the password and step through and do that. I'm going to skip past that unless anybody has an objection, and we'll just restore. If you came to my presentation at DNN Summit, you'd know that I'm running a script that I provided, 9.13.7. It's a restore of the file system, restore of the database, and so it just kind of speeds us all the way through that. And so we're just going to refresh the page. Stalling here, watching it finish. There it is. So, um, so now we've run all the way through the DNN installer, and we're going to go back to our site. It's like clicking visit website. So hopefully we saved a couple of minutes in all this. After you substantially change the website, it triggers, it's like super asleep, triggers everything to recompile.
What are some of the yeah, if you just like some highlights of the advanced options that the button that you is it
You would not ask behind the curtain, I forget.
okay, right.
You do, do you know
I was just seeing if I could fill some space. That's all.
do you know the answer to the question so that
I don't know.
okay. So this is exactly where we would have landed if we had gone through the um, um, waited for DNN to go through its activities. And so, for example, now we're at 9.13.7, and yeah, 9.13.8 is out there. But notice that the form that we had going on is the contact form that was on the home page. If we look at the home page, it's not coming up. The experience is that when you do this upgrade, when you do this install, it comes in unlicensed, and you're going to have to get a license before it goes on. So the page just doesn't render. And so if we were to go and look, let's, oh, there it is. It's all a little bit slower than I am. If we were to go and look at this action form, it's here and we can manage it. Um, but now we start to see some of the new stuff that happens. It's going to let us know that there's no license, and so it's not rendering because there's no license. So your upgrade experience would be you're going to want to make sure to as soon as you upgrade, you're going to want to go and handle the licensing. So we'll do that again. So the next step is to continue with the installer. We go back to the installer and we have our post install steps. And the first one is create app builder configuration page. And I'm going to click that and run. And it says it's gives us this message: step is already applied. It means it's done the work, but we're still on our installer page. We just refresh, and now we see we have a configuration page. We can go to that, and Linton app is present, but not licensed. So now we have this licensing dialog. I'm going to do activate, and it takes me to our console. And since I'm already logged into the console, it just starts in with our activate your app dialog. If I hadn't been logged in, you'd see me log in. So we get choices: activate a trial or activate for production. We have this new feature that's activate non-production environments. Um, I haven't seen it in play yet, so it'll be fun to when we get into it. But the idea behind this is certain licenses have the ability to create non-production environments. Non-production environments will, uh, among other things, display prominent saying this is a non-production environment, but it'll let you um, work with it and do development. And also, if you adopt our version control, it's a separate environment. It's going to be something where you can um, do your development, and eventually we're still working towards pushing your development towards production. So you'll have a branch in a GitHub for that non-production environment. Anyway, for today's purpose, I'm going to take the activate for production path, and where you would normally have one account, or maybe a much simpler scenario than we do, but we have lots and lots of licenses, and I know where the license is that I'm looking for, so I'm going to scroll on down to find it. But you would normally not have to do that. You're only going to have one or two subscriptions in your account. Anyway, I'm going to use the starter self-hosted license. I'm going to click activate, and that's going to get us activated into the product. The starter plan comes with, and we'll hear more from Bogdan about this in a little bit. The starter plan is a runtime, and then there are development seats. We offer community development seats, which are at the attractive price of free. And then there's professional and enterprise development seats as well that have different capabilities. But the least expensive thing that you can do is the starter plan with a community development seat. I would have expected to see the developer seat pop in here, but okay, here's the starter plan experience. You have access to many things, but where you see the upgrade symbol, these are things that are not included in the starter plan. So you have the ability to create users and pages, and our new files feature that Patrick worked very hard on. You can create entities and connectors, and you have access to some tokens. So it's a scaled down version of our entire product, but the product is present. So we have all access for all of our tokens, for example, and we can explore a little bit about the activity that what you do get when you do that. But if now that it's activated, if we go to our home page, our form now renders, so our old action form or action grid or the old tools that we had are just going to come in licensed. So I mean, once you work through the activation of Plantain app, now those old tools are licensed. You should be good to go, and they're up to fully up to date. If we look in extensions, we see, for example, action form is now at 5.27, and we have all the other tools installed as well. So that's the upgrade or the installer experience. Before I move on to the starter plan experience, any questions? I'm going to take a look at this manage form. So just the same experience that you would have with action form. It's up to date. Maybe yours looks a little different if you jump from 5.7 to 5.27, but basically the same thing. All right. So starter plan experience. Um, if you want to have access to, if you look in, we see you have workflows and you click in on workflows, it tells us that it's not, it's available with a license upgrade. So things that aren't included, you're going to see this kind of message that happens in a number of places. So I'll take a look here. If we were to add a namespace and try to add a token to the namespace, um, we can add we'll have a my account token. It's just a test token. Notice that you can have a constant token, but the more advanced ones get this same upgrade icon. So, for example, database queries and Razor scripts are not included in the starter plan. Which starter plan is core action form, action grid tabs, entities. So the experience, if we look at, for example, workflows and say that we want to upgrade, this will give you a chance to find out more about what workflows is and to get a price for it. So the marketplace, some of you, probably all of you have seen us talk about the marketplace more than a year ago, but the marketplace is going to come into play now. Um, the workflow builder, we can see about it, what it is, why you would want it, and if you're interested in it, you can request a quote. So you click request a quote, and it'll drop that into your cart. So we have workflow builder in our cart. You can also, if you want to explore other things like, for example, upgrading to enterprise, what, um, yeah, upgrading to enterprise, you can find out what that's all about. And if you want to do that or any of the other things that are here on the marketplace, you can also add those to your cart and request quote. It's going to ask for some, well, I haven't actually worked through this dialogue, so this will be fun. Um, so it knows who you are, it's ready to go, so you can just if you have any additional notes about what you want to do, but you can request a quote, and that'll get to our sales department, and we will follow up with you on upgrading. At some point, we may go towards putting prices to everything, but we have so many features that we added, we just decided to handle on a case by case basis to see where the interest was. So there isn't pricing now. You can request a quote. You can find out what that would be. Just get a discussion started. So that's the beginning of the starter plan experience. If we go to, I'm going to go back to our form and just show if we go into manage form, you're familiar that buttons have actions. And so on the form we had, for example, we were sending an email to the admin, sending an email to whoever was filling in the form, displaying a message. If we try to add other actions, you're going to find out that certain actions like execute JavaScript server is again something that's tied to a flag. It's an upgrade, and so it's when you get beyond the bounds of what your plan incorporates, you'll see this whether it's an action or a feature of the product. And then finally, so to the group that's here already, happens to be in the meeting today, the, um, the plan that whatever plan that you have now, Harvest or Enterprise, that you shouldn't see any or very many of these upgrade flags when you do an upgrade. This is the starter plan is the one that's scaled down, and so you should not encounter these. or not very many of them. There's some things that are upcharged from where you are. They are today, and they will be in the future. But you'll start to see them as flags within the product rather than no, trying to install something or having to figure out that you want something and how do you buy it. It's going to be more evident how you buy it. We look at updates. Add-ons is not set up to go yet. So anyway, that's the experience. Bogdan, what things did I miss, or what else do you want to talk about? And questions about specifics of anything you just saw. Except Patrick. You can't ask me about the advanced button.
My questions are cut off now, huh?
Just that one.
I think you covered it very nicely. Just looking to get feedback from you on the experience so far. And of course, this will be something that will start very low pricing. This was one of the challenges with many of our former DNN Shop customers. This will start at $69 per month or $690 per year. And then extra packages can be purchased. So it's already 10 times cheaper than it would be to go full harvest upfront.
I think this is an awesome opportunity, guys. This is an entry level is something that we've needed for some time now, and I'm really digging what I see. I'm sure Dennis is too.
Yeah, I do have one comment to make. And obviously this would be a Bogdan decision. One thing I noticed that I think poses a little bit of a problem to, if a license expires, it shuts your entire website down. So and let me give you a few scenarios. I mean, all that has to happen is your credit card expiration date expires and you don't realize it. I mean, let's face it, we all get busy. And you may forget to upgrade the payment information over at Planet App. Or I've had this happen before where someone fraudulently gets your credit card information. You wind up having to call your bank and tell them to shut the card off. And they said, no problem, we're going to send you a new card. It may take 3 to 5 business days for you to receive that card. And that's not a good situation to have a website completely shut off. It's not just the Planet App stuff that's shut off. The entire website is inaccessible at that point when that license expires. Just my 2 cents.
But I think now, Dennis, we have at least a 7-day grace period if payment are failing. I think 7 days is more than enough to figure it out. And I think you do get some notification from Stripe if you are using Stripe. If it's manual, you'll get reminders from our billing department. I think, please correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe that to be correct, and I was just going to add that if the worst does happen, support is authorized. We have the ability to extend the license, and it's actually behind the scenes. There's quite a bit of granularity to, for example, if you want to try out a feature and it gets anyway. I'm going to stick to your scenario that something goes wrong. We can add the licensing in very quickly, and you refresh and you get it, and we'll do a 7-day or a 14-day and then work on the details. It's certainly not our intention to hold you hostage for a credit card payment.
Well, I just noticed this when that trial license expired. And so I put in a ticket and I said, hey, can you extend my license? I need to do some testing for a few days. And
So,
if you remember, Dale, I didn't hear anything from you guys for over a week.
so this is a different scenario. So this is not payments. So we do have this grace period baked into the billing. So meaning if the payment is failing, the license will continue working for 7 days without having to do anything else. This is the case of a trial. The trial would expire, so it's best to discuss in advance. These are usually not priority tickets. Probably that's why it got lost. I think it was during the week when Dale was out and I was out at the conference and things like that.
So if you guys are out, let's say it's a DNN summit or something like that, and both of you are out, does support have the authorization if some, God forbid, some catastrophe happens? Do they have the ability to reactivate things so that you can take the necessary actions to correct it before your customer is ready to sue you? Just a question.
Sure, yes, we do have a big team, but mostly trials are about sales conversations. So sales conversation, sometimes if I'm out and Dale is out, sometimes will be slower. Like I'm sure it happens to everyone in this group. If it's support, if a system is down, we have many people jumping in to get things back online. So the best solution then is to purchase a license and not be on trial if timing is sensitive, right?
Yeah, well, the trial I wasn't that concerned about, because I had a paid for license, but it did bring my attention to the fact that, well, hey, what if, one of the scenarios that I've already mentioned happens, what do you do then? It could be the middle of the night, could be the weekend, any inconvenient time. And like I said, if the bank shuts your card off, you're looking at 3 to 5 business days before you get a new card. And they won't give you that information over the phone so that you can go ahead and update, the people you need to pay. You have to wait till you actually get the card in hand, and then you have to activate it. So that's what alarmed me a little bit.
There, I can see that there's definitely a concern. You don't ever want your websites to be down. And we've gone from a model that is very permissive, that you really have a hard time causing it to stop, to a model that is probably more in line with what the industry does. I think as Bogdan explained, there's liberal factors built in. There's week-long delay, grace period built in. But at some point, any service that you pay for, whether it's the water or the internet or the software, at some point is going to come to a spot of getting cut off. And with that, so now just kind of going down that hypothetical, I'll just point out that you can see on the screen this system impaired ticket. Just so that you understand what happens behind the scenes, when you say yes to this, there are a number, it's like a dozen people within the Plantain app that get a text. And
Yeah,
and
please,
please, no, let me finish, because I think it's important for future customers to understand as well, that that are watching this after the fact. Our team is in the Romanian time zone and in the U.S. time zone. Between us, we cover about 16 hours of daylight, and even if we mentioned, me being a conference, I'm head of support, but there are other people that are responsible for support. There's always somebody who is designated to pick up the tickets. So, and all those people are authorized to do the kind of thing that I mentioned. There's no problem in extending a license for 7 days or 14 days while we get it sorted out. You will not get pushback um, on a request like that. So, sorry, didn't
Okay,
mean to cut you off, but I wanted to get it out.
No, I was just going to say that I totally understand your positions, and I'm not trying to bring negativity to this call. But since we were talking about the installation and the licensing and stuff like that, I thought I'd just bring that up. It was, and like I said at the beginning of my comments, it was just a suggestion that I thought someone in power, as Bogdan is, would at least be able to think that over what I talked about. And, you know, it sounds like y'all have the bases covered, and that's the main thing I was interested in.
And if you feel like there's something that we're not doing, or if there's a better answer, something that I mean, I feel like we've covered the bases. It is important, and we do understand that these are important things to keep your sites running. Um, if you think that there's something that where we're falling short, we're certainly open to it. We're all about trying to enable you and to support your customers, or enable customers to run their websites. We don't want to be um, a hindrance to that. So love to hear if where you think we could do better.
Now, it
Short of
sounds like you
providing an unlimited license that would, shoot ourselves in the
yeah.
foot.
Sounds like you've got it covered then.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good comments. Bogdan, did you have anything more that, and I know you've been working hard on the pricing model, understanding what the different developer seats do might be of interest to this group.
I can show that document with the overview.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop off the share and make it be.
Yeah, I cannot share the screen. You have to give me some permission.
There, I just have to stop. I think hopefully you can.
Okay. Yes. Can you see my screen all right?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, this is a new licensing model that we are introducing with 127, but in 127, it will only affect starter plan. That's what Dale mentioned, that nobody else will be affected. But in the meantime, some of our customers already opted for this model. It scales nicer for especially large customers. We are still working on this price, so it might suffer slight changes. But basically, there's two components of the new licensing. There's developer seats and runtime licensing. Developer seats means a user account that needs to be licensed to access the administration screen and get extra things. And then the runtime license is what makes PlantaNet work. This is what, to your point, Dennis, this is what will bring the website down, not having this license. Whereas this is about developers accessing and configuring applications. There's 3 tiers for the developer seats. There's the community one, which is free, but only comes with community level support. And then there's the professional, which comes with some other things like agent-based support. And the new thing that Dale mentioned, non-production environment. This has been a constant ask from many customers to be able to create dev environments without having to pay extra per environment. And the developer seats on this tier can do this. The version control that we have, it's available on this plan, not on the community edition, and some AI assistant that we've added, like you might have noticed our SQL AI assistant that has been experimental for a while. It finally got pushed to stable. And we have a knowledge AI assistant that is coming out. It will be available for this seat already in 127. And as we roll it out to everyone, it will be available to everyone else. And then there's the enterprise plan, which of course has other things like compliance support, SLA support, other things that big organizations need. And then in terms of the pricing, we aim to start with this 240 per month, or if paid yearly, 2 months discount. So this, I think this is a bargain for the level of support and the features that we provide. Same on the runtime licenses. We have 3 models for the starter plan. By the way, we used to have a free plan. It didn't work out on our side, so that's going to be replaced by the starter plan. So the starter plan, it will be a $69.95 per month, same 2 months for free when paid annually. And it includes the things that they'll show: form builder, listing tabs, core tokens, and some which I'm not sure yet if they will be in or not, but right now they are used by the entity builder and the user management screen. So that's why they are included. And then on the hardware side, on this new model, we also managed to get this a lot, because basically the transfer cost gets transferred to the professional dev seat, right? So then the runtime per harvest will be also lower. So nearly three times lower than it is today. So all of this will be, we are going to update the plan and a pricing page to detail what each of these plans contains, but pretty much most of you already know Harvest, so you know everything in there. Enterprise, for a long period of time, it was not any features different than the Harvest. It was mostly about the support, the SLA, the compliance. But now I think even with latest release, we launched some enterprise-only features, and you'll start seeing more of this as well, mostly related to audit, to traceability, to compliance, to high performance, things that enterprises need. And then with the starter plan, everything else goes through the marketplace, which right now it's request a quote, but once we get it out, once we see where the adoption is, we'll start publishing pricing and make it more self-service. So getting involved in a sales conversation only when needed. And next phase will open the marketplace for everyone. So this community will be welcome to start publishing things they're monetizing or not, just contributing for free, whatever your model is, and start growing the community and the adoption together.
Oh, down on the developer seats, those can apply to multiple plant and app installations, correct?
Yes, that's a good point. I forgot to mention. Thanks for bringing that up. So basically, the developer seat is paid per developer, not per application. So if you manage 100 applications, you only need a developer seat and 100 runtime licenses.
We're definitely in favor of 100 runtime licenses.
Yes. So you can see the idea with this model is, 1, to have a lower entry point, and then 2, to be able to scale nicer and separate the one cost from the other. So one is the R&D cost, which is the runtime license and the value that we bring on the runtime. The other is the developer value, so the application building capabilities and the support that we provide, which is a separate thing. So that was our idea. And then I think this, from the feedback that we have so far, this scales so much nicer, so we can grow together with our customers. Are there any questions on this pricing model?
Okay, if no questions, then I'll take the share back here if I can find it. And
And by the way, maybe just to thank Mark, Dulcing has been helping a lot with feedback on structuring this plan. So thanks a lot, Mark.
I'm really happy to see this coming out, Bogdan and Dale and Patrick and everybody else who's been working on it. This has been really great that you've been able to bring the price down and make it more available to everyone. Kudos.
Udan, is it a good time to also to talk about where we might go with search?
Sure, I think that's a good topic and good feedback in this group.
So on our on the community, excuse me, the data and store, we currently sell Action Form and Search Boost, and both of those are limited in terms of what version is available. Meaning, we brought them to the highest version we can until it's we can't update them anymore because of where they've gone within our product. So moving forward, instead of selling Action Form and Search Boost, it will be the starter plan if you want to get a hold of Action Form. And for Search Boost, we are considering the same kind of function, the same. Search Boost is a flag. It's an upgrade flag, just like everything else within the product. So it would be we don't know what the price point is yet, but Search Boost as a it's still installing Plant an app and it'll have certain features, but Search Boost will be unlocked. So we don't want to strand anybody that is using Search Boost or Action Form. We want to provide an upgrade path, again, where we can all grow together. Did I get that out right? Hold on.
Yes.
And yeah. All right.
Besides Action Form, I think Search Boost was the other large module that people used at large from DNN Sharp, and the one that we're still selling because of that. But yes, it's already 2-3 years behind Plant an app.
Yep, and we want everything to be updated, secure, and functional with the latest version of DNN, which we finally get to with our 1.27 version. So, I don't know that we're. I don't want to throw Bogdan under the bus, but in terms of 1.27 licensing and being able to come out with a starter plan is the biggest thing. And I'm trying to remember what things, whether it's going to be important for our existing customers to upgrade, what kinds of things that they might get in 1.27. Seems like workflow contracts and things around workflows might be some of the features that might be useful, but if you don't happen to have a list, we'll detail them out at a later time. And then
yes, I think the list is written by our AI agent on the system.
And it looks like your new file manager is included in 1.27. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. So that'll be a nice add.
Thank you for that.
And okay. So last chance, otherwise I'll close that topic and move on with more other Campfire business. Great. I love it when Google decides that it's time for me to be revalidated. Luckily, it's not hard, it's just annoying. All right, I kind of rushed everyone on first call a little bit, so if there's now any other question you want to bring up, it'd be a great time to do it. Not our I didn't notice any new contribution in Campfire, although I have one planned, which is I don't know if any of you made it to the Cypress Low Code Cafe on Wednesday. Kozmin from our Romanian development team, QA engineer, he did a great job of showing how you can use Cypress to do more a nice interactive test with for quality purposes, making sure that some process on your site, click here, do this, type that, ends up with the result that you expect. And so he demonstrated that by doing it again, running a Cypress test against a standard entity that so you could follow along with the 45 minutes that he did and install Cypress, do exactly the same steps, and come away with understanding how this JavaScript library lets you test a website. It doesn't have to be our website, by the way, but we focused on testing our Plant and App website. And there may be a part two, and/or he may attend in a week from now to answer any questions that you might have if you look at that. But it was a good session, and it's always good to hear from somebody who's not Dale. So there were some resources that the exact script that he used and such that will be done as a Campfire contribution, so you can download it and follow along and do the exact same steps. There's quite a bit of activity on the community forum this last week, and I don't know if we have all the questions open, excuse me, all the questions answered, but we can look, and if there's anything that you guys want to dig into, we can do that. I'll go ahead and sign in because it signed me out. So, Ben, you had a question about IMAP, and I know we went back and forth on it, and maybe it's gone as far as it can go. The get credential, which I think we've just recently renamed to get connector. So if you're on 126, you might see this as get connector. But there was a question about trying to return the password, which ends up that we don't do. So yep, if you need the password for other purposes, you have to store it in some other place for any of our connectors where we can't. I have an answer here that the being able to pull it out of credentials would remove the security that we're trying to build into the connectors, so we don't provide that. Anyway, I see that one's closed, or at least answered. This was an ongoing one. Where automations were not running for a client. And I think I'm going to skip to the end here and see where we are. But yeah, I don't know that we've completely gotten Brandon taken care of. But the idea is that when a DNN site goes to sleep completely, the automations don't run and may depending on how they're configured, they may not even get caught up at a later time when the site comes alive. So there's some configuration that you can do, and I've had this for quite some time. This might be so useful for someone. This is an internal article on our internal wiki that explains exactly how to configure IIS so that it does not go to sleep. And so then, so long as the site is running, automations run, and things happen on time when you expect them to. So if you haven't set up your websites this way, it's an option to do so, and it's all here detailed under this ticket. Another benefit of this one is that when your sites and there's always costs and benefits, right? The one of the benefits of this is that anytime that your site gets paged out or recycled, it it starts it up again, and so the effect is that instead of when you hit the site the first time at 8 o'clock in the morning when you first go to it, it's actually up and running, and so you'll notice a perceived much faster first hit time. We configure many of our internal sites this way so that just to reduce the amount of time we spend waiting for a site to wake up. From a cost standpoint, um, if you have many sites and I mean, you are telling IIS to have this loaded into memory and ready to go. So presumably that takes up some resources. I don't have any um, exact or even a rule of thumb with it. It seems like we don't see any actual negative to, but in theory, you're setting up resources to be used. So you might end up needing a bigger server if you've got a lot of sites and keep them all running all the time. Um, and then kind of anecdotally, if a site never goes to sleep, sometimes, as you know, things need to be rebooted, things need to be reset, and so if you set it up never to go to sleep, there's the possibility that something you may end up having to do a reset down the line. We've seen very rare instances of where we have to do an IIS reset on a site, like once a couple of years ago, but I bring that up as a possibility that just running forever might have other implications. Anybody experience any of this or have done this before? I'm going to throw Patrick under the bus. Have you configured sites like this and or helped clients
Yes.
do that in your TSM role, and what the experience has been?
Yeah, I have, and it does help. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It seems to have solved the issue in a few cases.
The issue being,
Dale, just a question here about this. Um, I had to walk out of the room just for a minute when y'all started talking about this. So
yeah.
where what exactly or where is this exactly so I can take a look at it?
Well, currently it's an answer to a question on the community portal. It's the
Okay,
skipped automation is the topic.
I got you.
Happened in just a couple of days ago, so you can. I
Okay,
posted it down there in that.
thanks.
Sure. All right. Skipped automation. And this was a good one, and unfortunately, I didn't have any time to jump in on that. So hopefully, you got a good answer on this one. Um, oh, you answered your own question to this. Nice. Well, thanks for finding and posting the answer. So this is all about trying to do SQL in a very dynamic way, coming out of it, storing SQL in a database, and then um, if I'm oversimplifying or don't quite get it right, let me know, Ben. But storing SQL in a database, pulling it out, getting it um, to feeding it to a run SQL action, run SQL query action, so that it will um, run, but it can be a dynamic thing rather than a pre-programmed action. And you found a way to do that.
Yeah, it's just basically I have situations where rather than having to hard code everything directly into actions or whatnot, it made more sense for me to create a manager
Mm-hmm.
where I stored a script, a straight up SQL script into the database. I pull out that script code, and initially what I just wanted to do was put that bracket REC SQL code bracket directly into that black box for the script, as you could see above. Um, with the my token replace, I just expected that my script was going to go in there as designed. But apparently, when you do that, Plantain App does some of its own internal tweaking of the code, and it tries to escape single quotes by
Mm-hmm.
double quoting the singles. And when you do that as a direct script like this, obviously that breaks syntax. SQL will not recognize the code at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So by doing it the other way shown below, what it's basically doing is it's sending it as a string that gets executed. And when you do it in this respect as a bind, as opposed to directly putting it into the system, it will not do the double single quote escaping. And at that point, then your code runs perfectly fine. It's just an extra step. I didn't expect that I needed to go this extra step because I didn't need to really do the binding and stuff like that. I just wanted to run the code, but I wasn't aware that the escaping was being
Well, take
done.
I remember fighting with this even in my earliest encounters with Action Form before I was an employee out in an honest job with you guys, and so sometimes things like this are a fight, and so I'm glad you found a nice encapsulated solution. So good. Since we've made it to past the top of our hour, I am going to jump right on into we'll adjourn and go into our Afterglow segment. Thanks for spending your hour with us, and I hope it was of value to you. It was certainly of value to us, and we'll hang around for a little while longer and chat if you like. So with that, see you next week.